Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Rebecca, and we're doing a series of Python tutorials, hopefully each of which stand on their own, so you can come in and watch whichever ones you are interested in. And so this lesson is going to be about if-then statements. So in Python, we use the words if, else, if, and else. And so we're just going to do something pretty simple. So I'm in idle, and so I'm going to go File to New File. And so we will create a script file here. And so we're going to create just like a little guessing game. And so my program is going to have a particular number set inside the program, and then we're going to allow the user to enter in a guess and see if they are too low or too high, or the number is exactly correct. And so we're just going to make this real simple. We're not going to do a whole lot of error handling in this video, and so we're going to assume that the user will give us an integer. And so that's very important assumption to make here. All right, so our guess is going to be another variable, and this one, in the last video we talked about input. We're going to allow the user to enter your whole number guess. All right, and so then that's going to sit there and wait until they type in something. And then so once they type that in, then we're going to check to see which condition is true. So if their guess is, let's see, if their guess is less than 12, then we want to say too low. Else if, all right, now here's a little neat thing with Python. You can do else if, I believe, but you can also do a shortcut, and they call it elif. So it's kind of clever. So if guess is less than, actually we don't want to hard code that as a 12, I'm sorry. If it's less than the number, and that way next time we run it, we could hard code the number up here and change it real easily. All right, and so if the guess is less than 12, print too low. Else if the guess is greater than our hard-coded number of 12, then we're going to print too high. And then our final overall. Now you can have as many lines of code as a part of this if that you want. Just make sure that they stay on the same indentation level. And it doesn't matter the spacing so much as these indents are super important. And then also, I've never mentioned, but Python is case sensitive. So like the word if has to be in lowercase. These keywords, you have to type it exactly how Python is expecting it. So everything is very precise and case sensitive in Python. All right, so we have if, else if, and then we can have an overall else. Now, whenever you have your very last option, it'll just be else, and there's nothing to test. So no condition with this at all, or it'll give you a syntax error. And so we're just going to say else. And so then, if this one is true, we will say you got it. All right. So we're going to save this file, and I'll just call it, let's see, get into my folder first, and I'll just call it guess. All right, and then now we're going to run it and test to see if our script file is correct. All right, so it's running, and so again, it's going to sit here and wait until somebody puts something in. And again, I'm going to assume that this is a smart user who reads the instructions, and they're not going to feed in a string, they're not going to feed in a decimal float number, they're actually going to give me a whole number, and so they're going to guess 5. Oh boy, and then we got an error. So now we need to figure out what's going on here with our error, and it's telling us that this less than symbol not supported between instances of string and int. Okay, so this brings up a real good point to make here, because whatever they type in, Python is going to assume that this is a string no matter what. So a string is just letters and digits and whatever. So Python's going to assume that this is a string. Well, and so it's trying to compare a string to an integer, and so that's why we're getting an error. All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to force whatever they type in to be treated like an integer. And so that way we're comparing apples to apples. We're comparing an integer to an integer. And I will need to do that here as well. All right, now again, this is going to assume that your user definitely follows directions and they were going to put in a whole number. If they don't put in a whole number, then this causes a problem because it can't force something strange to be an integer unless it's an integer. But anyway, so they're going to put in a whole number. That will be fine. This will be fine. And then that way we compare a whole number to a whole number. All right, so now let's save this and we will run it. All right, and so again, they're going to guess 5. And oh, that was too low. So now let's run this again. And this time they're going to guess 50. And that was too high. And of course, they could keep running this over and over. They won't ever see this 12. Of course, we see it because we are the programmer. And so now we will say enter your whole number guess. And if they get 12, then right on, they got it perfectly. And so our if else statement is working perfectly. So thanks so much for watching.